to Warthen it once more, but it's a little bit different. A little bit. Well, I say a little bit, quite a lot of it. 1.59 has just been released, but they have added a fair bit in this patch. But like before, it's actually quite a lot of premium stuff, much to any person's, you know, annoyance. So, let's go through them, shall we? We'll start with the Japanese, because these guys actually have got some new stuff, although it's not very much. They've been given 2 new vehicles. The Ki-61-2, which is here. Basically, it's another version of the Ki-61. I kind of doubt it's going to be much different to the other Ki-61s in game, other than maybe in armament, because that seems to be the most the biggest thing rather that they change between the different aircraft. Performance seems to be very similar as well. And there's also another M1K. This is the M1K1, so it's actually the predecessor to both of these two. And it actually has gun pods. Well, I say gun pods, it's got 2 cannon there and there, and both of those are only kind of like a pod. But it only has the single cannon in the wing, and additionally it also has 2 machine guns, one there and one there. But other than that, it's pretty much, from what I can tell from there, and from visually as well, it looks very similar to the M1Ks. I think this one will perform slightly worse though, as those gun pods, they'll add a little bit of drag, and so will that air intake type thing, just there. So, what else have we got? Well, they changed some other minor things, details, I suppose. I've just noticed this as well. These little symbols here denote rare or premium aircraft, or aircraft that are no longer in game, I assume. Either that, or it could be ones that have talismans on, thinking about it. Let me just have a quick look at this. It is, it's talismans, okay. I'm sure I bought one for this myself, actually. Yeah, there we go. When I say talismans, it's basically aircraft that have talismans on premium. Any premium aircraft obviously have that symbol anyway, because they've basically got the talismans already. Right. Anyway, pressing on to the British. Now, the British have had a couple of aircraft added in. That one there, with an S4, which is a bundle plane. Now, that means that you cannot buy it for Golden Eagles. I do have to stress that. And I also have to stress how much it costs, which, let me just double check. Have I got the website now? What's it available? £23.74. It also gets you like 1,000 Golden Eagles and a week's worth of premium as well, which is negligible really, it's not much at all. That sits about rating 5.0 for realistic battle at rank 4. Now, I'm pretty sure that is a post-war plane. But again, battle rating wise, no, that's not a post-war battle rating at all. Looking at what else we've got for the British as far as the aircraft goes is the Halifax Mark III. And as far as I'm aware, that's that's one of the planes. Sterling is one of the others. And my grandfather actually worked on in World War II. So again, I'll be looking forward to getting that. I think, well, that's the only aircraft I need to research actually, but yeah, that will be something I get fairly quickly. As far as the Wyvern goes, I won't be getting that very quickly at all. I'll be waiting for that to be on sale, which is probably when I'll get it, but it won't be before that. I certainly don't think I'll be bothered to spend £23 on that, considering that with that particular aircraft, it's going to be crap in air combat, but great for ground attacking. So it's really really useful for tanks or tank forces games. And with that, let me just point out, there are no new British tanks. Well, there are. I do lie there. Well, that was a small lie, I suppose. One is there. That's a premium. The Cromwell rocket tank. Just throw that up. Gets 4 RP3 rockets mounted on the side of the turret. They aren't brilliant for killing tanks, I do have to point out. And therefore, Gaijin have kept it at the same battle rate as the normal Cromwell. Or the Cromwell Mark 5 at least, anyway. And, yeah, that's the first British rocket tank into the game. Now, the other tank that they've added in for the British, again, it's a premium, but it's something you're going to have to buy, is this one. And this is where it starts going horribly wrong. For this patch, at least, anyway. The STRV ATGM. Now this, although it's a British tank, that's a Conqueror, sorry, that's a Centurion. This is a British tank, yeah, obviously. But these missiles, they were mounted on it by the Swedish, hence the designation STRV ATGM. This is basically a Swedish conversion of a Centurion, which gives it SS-11 missiles. 3 of them, and they're ATGMs. Each of those are capable of one-shotting pretty much any tank in game. I don't know if I can actually tell. There we go. There we go. Penetration 600mm. That will go through anything in game. Any tank. Even the at the slightest angle where it gets only 299mm penetration. That, yeah, that will pretty much, I'm pretty sure that will go through everything in game. Even, you know, T10M, what's it called, IS-4, and the other heavies like Morse and so on. Maybe not the Morse, actually, thinking about it on certain positions, but most of the things that it shoots against, that will just go through like a hot knife through butter and wreck whatever it is that it shoots or hits. Now, one thing I do need to point out is the battle range again. That's at battle range 6.7, which is the same as a Tiger 2H. It's also the same as, you know, several other vehicles, which really this thing shouldn't be lined up against. Battle range 6.7, like I say, that'll fight against the Tiger 2H. This is a post-war tank, another one that's going to have a World War II kind of level of battle range. And that's it for the British. So yeah, that's it. I've got literally for the British to research one vehicle. That one. For the Japanese, I've got 2, and that one and that one. Okay. For the Russians, this is the next one. They've got 2 new aircraft, one of which is the Tu-4, and the other one is the Yak-30. That's a jet, a Baron 8.0 aircraft. So that's going to basically get clubbed by a lot of things, considering it's not MiG-17. Therefore, it isn't very quick. It's quick. It looks like it's fast for a Bahrain 8 aircraft, looking at that speed. However, the problem I should point out is that it won't be fighting at Bahrain 8 all the time. Most of the time, it'll be fighting at Bahrain 9, because that's the way the matchmaker works. Now, as far as the Tu-4 goes, the Russians, or Gaijin rather, decided to say that this was an ingenious copy of the B-29. Why is it ingenious? No, it's not ingenious at all. It's a copy. If it was ingenious, it would be a different design of some sort. There would be a massive change in design. There isn't any. That's almost a direct copy. The plane looks almost identical to the B-29 Super Fortress. There's nothing ingenious about that. That's just copying. You know. What I do find interesting about it is its choice of battle rating coupled with its armament. Because like the B-29, it does have quite a large bomb load, as you can probably see there. But, unlike the B-29, it doesn't have 50 cals. Instead of having 50 cals, each of these turrets that you can see, so one there, one there, one there, one there, and one there, all have 23mm cannon, Russian 23mm cannon. And it has the same battle rating as the B-29, even though it's got all of those cannon. That I think might change. Kind of needs to, if I'm honest, but you know, this is Waterloo. I don't think it'll be anytime soon yet. Right, now as far as anything else goes for the Russians, they have added in a at least a couple of new Russian tanks. As far as I'm aware, it's just the one premium, I think, and that would be that one. I'll just bring that up. It's basically a KV-2 but with a different gun. That's a gun I'm familiar with, but quite a lot of other people may not be familiar with regards to the KV-2 series of tanks. It's a 107mm gun that was kind of played with in World War II and then dropped later. I think it was maybe a naval gun they basically just put into a tank. Let's just have a look. I don't think there'd be any information there, Steve. As far as the gun goes or anything like that, it's got one type of round, which is an APHE round, which will pretty much kill everything it shoots at. It's not got amazing penetration. It's not decent. Well, it's decent, but it's not amazing. I mean, it's not like a well, I suppose it's more down to the type of ammunition it's using, but yeah, it's not brilliant round, or even gun for that matter. But that's basically, it's a very similar. I say it's very similar. That's in mortar tanks already. It's been in mortar tanks, well, that gun at least for the KV-2 has been in mortar tanks for quite some time. In War Thunder, it's improved, and this will set you back. How many golden eagles? Nope, no golden eagles. Money, real money. £19.78 in total. So, yeah, and that's tier 3. Just a little bit cheaper than the Wyvern. Oh, I didn't actually check that, or could I? Let me just check the price of this thing, if I can. £31.66. And you get 1,000 golden eagles in 7 days of premium. £32 basically. So that's basically, that's around about the same price as what the Black Prince is at. Well, was at. I'm not sure if that's at the same price as well. As far as the tanks go, though, so yeah, you've got the. Oh, sorry, back to the Russian tanks. I should point out. You've got the KV-2 set there. Battle rating 5.3. Yeah. So that will, at most, it'll fight stuff like the M41, Type 2P, things like that. Though, to be honest, I'm kind of surprised it's not lower. It has a lower battle rating. Because that gun really isn't that amazing, if I'm honest. Although the SU-100Y keeps on creeping up as far as the battle range goes. Now, as far as everything else that got added in for the Russians, basically it's post-war vehicles in very strange places. Basically, you've got the ASU-57 sat there, which is a new tank destroyer for the Russians, sat at battle range 4.7. This thing has a 57mm Russian gun, which can fire heat FS, and it's got a barrel of 4.7. I'll let that sink in a little bit. Oh, it doesn't have heat FS now. Okay. Someone did tell me they did have heat FS. I guess APCR Maybe that's what it is. Maybe, I don't know. Let's have a look. What does it say? It does say APCR. There's no EFS on this, which is kind of interesting. But that might change, knowing Gaijin and their little, scheme of things. So you got the ASU-57 there, Bowering 4.7, designed, I think, or at least from what someone told me, it was 1950 something, 52, 53, I think. Again, post-war, that shouldn't really be down there. It's just stupid. I know it's going to be shit. I'm sure it's going to be shit. But if they're going to put stuff like that in, they need to think about this. That isn't a World War II vehicle. That's using post-war technology, not World War II technology. Anyway, so you got that in. For the Russians, you've got the KV-2 ZIS-6, which is either premium or new premium. And then finally, third would be this one, the ASU-85. This isn't a premium. And that gets EFS. That's at a battle range of 6.7. So that's got almost the same battle range as a Jagdpanther that was designed and developed in 1943, 44. And this is, I think it's past 1953 for when it was designed. I think it might actually be something like 1955, 1957 kind of area, which is like, almost 14 years after the vehicle that it's going to be fighting against, or the equivalent. It's sad, really, when they put stuff like this in at that kind of stupid rating. And that gets EFS, which will go through 300mm of armor. Yeah, so what's that doing down at battle range 6.7, please? If anyone's got any ideas. The IT-1 is at battle range 8.0. This is the fourth and final vehicle that they've added in for the Russians. And this is a pure ATGM based vehicle. It doesn't have a main armament other than the ATGM, so it's a pure anti-tank platform using a missile which has 500mm of penetration. So then that'll pretty much wreck every single thing that it will shoot with one shot, including aircraft, if you believe the videos that Gaijin put out. Anyway, so that's the IT-1. That's all of the Russian vehicles they've been putting. Let's move on to the Germans. So the Germans, what have they had added in? Well, there's some more premiums. Yeah, more premiums. New Russian premium T-34 there for the Germans, and a new KV-2 754R. I think that's the Finnish variant, maybe. I've heard something about Finnish with version of the KV-2 for the Germans there as well. Both of which cost Golden Eagles, so you can actually buy them for in-game currency. Yeah, I mean, they're Russian tanks for the Germans. Not really anything that new there, if I'm honest. I'm certainly not going to get excited about it either. Right. The other things that they've added in for the Germans as far as tanks go, start with this one, the Sturm Emil, or Emil. This is a kind of tank destroyer assault gun, armed with a 12.8cm anti-tank gun, or gun. Now Gaijin have already stated that this gun has the highest energy potential or kinetic energy potential for any gun currently in game, which is great. But at the end of the day, it's got pants armor, really pants armor. 50mm of armor, yeah, that's nothing. Sorry, 30 up here, apparently, according to this, and 50 on the whole. But either way, it's a good gun. I'll give them that. I mean, the gun will be great. Only 15 rounds is a problem, and I assume the reload rate is terrible. Yep. So this, yeah, I think it's like a mid-war design. Not really, used for tank combat. It was more used for sieges, I think, or bunker busting, that kind of thing. he may well have been used in the anti-tank role, but I don't think the Germans had many of these at all. Certainly not enough to swing things around in Russia, at least, anyway. And, right, as far as its ratings go, for realistic battle, its battle range 6.0. And with that level of armour, I personally think that's kind of upped it quite a bit. It should be down with the Nash one. Yeah, it might have an amazing gun, but 15 rounds, pants armour, both of those aren't very good in my opinion. The Dickomax is a lot of fun. That, like I say, with 15 rounds, I don't rate that at all. We'll have to wait and see for that. It does have stupid gun depression, so maybe that will be its, win factor. But we'll have to wait and see. The other tank that they've added in for the Germans, well, actually there's another two, one of which it's not actually showing there, which is kind of weird. No, sorry, it is, it's that. This one here. The Panzer IIIB, that's been added in. That's another version of the Panzer III. It's a very early version of the Panzer III. In fact, it's so early that they've decided to make it a reserve tank. So I'll have a 1.0 battle range. Yeah. Now the other tank that they've added in as well, and this is the one that is quite kind of interesting. The Rakuten, well, they call it the Rakuten Jagdpanzer II. I know that as I think it's Jaguar or Jaguar, which is also pretty much the same as this thing, which is also called a different name, the Jagdpanzer Canon. Yeah, so I mean, basically that is one of these, but without the gun and ATGMs instead. They even have the same battle rate, which is crazy. This only has ATGMs, I do have to point that out. No main gun. And it's another one of the ATGM horde that have been thrown into the game in this patch. Now with the ATGMs, this one gets actually two. I don't think it will be able to find both at the same time, or at the same target even. But it may well be able to do so. It gets 14 ATGMs in total, and something that I have read about, as far as, or been told about maybe, with regards to this vehicle and the other ATGMs in game, this one apparently is the hardest one to steer towards a target because of the way that Gaijin have decided to add the control for these. Basically, this is the missiles for this are supposed to be controlled by WSAD, at least from what I've been told, and the ones on other vehicles such as the Russian IT-1 and the British STRV, both are controlled by the mouse, which is very strange. Why is that different between the two different nations? I haven't actually tried this out myself yet, so I need to have a look myself to see if that is the case, and I'll have to play through and grind them out to find that out. But that's what I've been told, and it sounds very confusing. But this is Warfare, so I'm used to it by now. As far as the aircraft goes, the Germans have had 2 aircraft, I think, added in. Let me just check. I think it's just the 2. Yeah. This one here, the HS-123, which is a biplane. And I guess 2 MGs. And yeah, that's a biplane. I'm not going to go crazy about that one because I mean, it is a bit of a kind of iconic plane, I suppose. I think that might have been used during some of the later operations that the Germans had on the Eastern Front. I know they used aircraft, or biplane aircraft in particular, for small-scale night raiding on Russian and indeed Allied aircraft. Oh, sorry, Allied aircraft, Allied troops in World War II. And in some cases it was with very high success rate as well. Considering what they were doing, it was quite amazing that they were able to be as successful as they were. So yeah, that's the HS-123 A1. Now that's a battle rating 1.3. Why it's not a battle rating 1.0, I'm not so sure. It seems a bit, strange. I'm talking about realistic battle ratings obviously as well, so, a little bit different. Now as far as the other vehicle that they have got in, it's this one down here, the HE-219. It's a premium that was actually done or made by a normal player. This aircraft wasn't made by Gaijin, and we can kind of celebrate in that because it's not bad actually. I mean, just look at it. And this was done by basically a player or member of the community who's now going to get money from that. By Gaijin putting this into the game, they're contractually bound to pay him for every single one they sell, due to the way that they've set their little scheme up. Now, as far as this aircraft goes, it's Germans, or one of the Germans' night fighters from World War II. This one's a later variant, quite a bit later, as I think they started out with the A1. The A1 was still very effective in comparison to this one, but its armament was slightly different, I believe. There are various other modifications to this throughout its career. There were several different variations of it, one of which I know, for example, had STRV music fitted back here, which is the it's the German night fighter kind of specialist weapon for destroying enemy bombers. The one that's actually been put in though is a little bit different. It's got still a hideous amount of firepower. I mean, it's just so deadly. This thing, it's not funny. You would not want to be ever getting chased by this thing if you had the choice. Basically, it's got, from what I can tell, I think the 30mm are all down here. It's got 2 Mark 103s, 2 Mark 108, and 2 MG 151s. Now I'm thinking that they've got the MG 151s up here, but it looks as though actually on the outside there. So I'm kind of interested to find out which guns are mounted here, whether it's the Mark 103s or the Mark 108s. But either way, that has a massive amount of firepower kicking out from the front of it. As far as ordering it goes, you can buy this for Golden Eagles, and it's only 2,670, which is quite cheap, if I'm honest. At least at the moment. However, that may well shoot up, knowing Gaijin. It wouldn't surprise me. And they do have one other jet that they are going to be giving to the Germans, but it's not in yet. I've just noticed that. It should be sat right here, above that, because it's the HE-162A1, but it's not in the tree. That's kind of weird. I'm sure they announced that with the news today. Let me just have a look. Yeah, it does say that. That's not there though. Okay. People are asking when the HE-162 is going to be available on their website as well. That's brilliant. I'll play Gaijin. I'd assume that they are going to be putting that in maybe later. When? I'm not so sure. Right, and moving on to the last nation that's been given stuff this patch. Well, what nation hasn't? And it's the Americans. Right, one thing that I am quite happy that they've done is that they put the M551 back up at battle rating 8.0. Now when I first saw the thumbnail for that, it was showing 7.0, and that just made me almost piss myself with laughter, if I'm honest. Well, maybe not piss myself, but I was close. It's the Sheridan. The Sheridan was actually at 7.0 on the dev server as far as the battle rating goes. They put it up to 8.0 now, so it's a little bit more balanced. But why they can't do that with Russian post-war stuff, I'm not so sure. Now, as well as the M551, they've added in the M48 pattern 3, and I think it's just the premium, the T29, that one as well. But as far as the tanks go, T20 is there. That's a bundle tank. You have to spend real money on that. You cannot buy it for Golden Eagles, and that's £32 pretty much. So same cost as the ATGM equipped Centurion for the British. As far as the Sheridan goes, that's going to take you some time to get. It's going to take me some time to get as well, for that matter. But it's a light tank, but it has a little bit of a difference in that the gun can fire a ATGM straight through that barrel, as well as either high explosive or heat rounds. Let me just have a look at this. Let's see what we've got there. It doesn't have heat FS, so you're going to have quite a big significant shot drop with it, I believe. Yeah, and it's not very fast either. It's still got massive amounts of penetration. The HE round is there. That's, just HE round. And the ATGM is there. And that will go through 431mm of armor. So that's going to one-shot pretty much everything as well. But yeah, that's it. About we're in 8.0. We're going to see how that pans out when I eventually get it, or when I run across it in game. Alright, now as far as the pattern goes, that's there. I think this one is pretty much the same tank with a slightly redesigned turret, more like the M60s. Yeah. It's the same gun, so it's a 90mm, but it's got a almost completely redesigned turret, more in line with what you see on the M60. If I just go back and show you the previous one, so you've got the pattern 2 there, and 47's here. So if I just show you this, there you go. Actually, the horse is different as well on that one. And the M46 is there as well. So I'll show you that one. There you go. Right, so yeah, the M48 is in. Now there were different versions of this as well that I know of. One of which was an upgrade to the 105mm gun, which they could kind of put in, but they've not put it in so far. Let me just check the gun on that. Actually, thinking about it, just need to check see if it gets any special types of magical ammo. Gets heat FS. Yep. And that doesn't. Right. Well, that's pretty much all of the tanks. I don't think... Oh, my mistake, yeah. They have actually given the Americans a new aircraft. The reason why I didn't really recall it is because it isn't going to be really amazing. It's here. It's called the B-18A. And this is, as far as I'm aware, a very kind of early design. As you can kind of tell by the looks of it, it looks old. Yeah, it looks really old. In fact, I wouldn't even say that looks like a bomber. I'd say it looks more like a transport or even a commercial aircraft, as in like a civilian aircraft or airliner. But yeah, that's been put into the game as well. And let's have a quick look at the bomb load for that. 2,000 pounder is its biggest bomb load. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. But yeah, that's the last aircraft that's been added in, or at least the only aircraft for the Americans for this patch. So that's 1.59 pretty much. There really wasn't that much there, if I'm honest. Not in comparison to some of the previous patches I've seen. And yeah, I think, you know, I mean, I've really not got that much to aim for. You know, nothing British. I've got that to go for, and that's it. For the Russians, yeah, I've got shitloads to get again. Japanese, 2 aircraft. That's not going to take long. Germans, 1 aircraft, and 2 TDs. And for the Americans, it's 2 top tier tanks. So yeah, I mean, it's giving me stuff to get for these, well, kind of 3 nations, but not really anything for the British, and very little for the Japanese.